Hello everyone. Happy Sunday. So we're going to have a chill day today after playing BioShock yesterday with Cove, Holden, and our life, which has been really cute so far. So it's going to be good. I was going to have a friend come voice with me. Hi Marissa, how are you on this lovely Sunday? I was going to have a friend do some voices with me. Hello, Lexi. Yeah, you do Spycast right here. He can say hi. We're here with the kitty, my love. But I am on my lonesome, so I apologize for all the really bad voices you are about to get. It's just gonna be me reading, but hopefully it's fine. And yeah, we have Casper with us as well. He says hi. I am very excited for this. I may or may not have fallen down a rabbit hole looking. Hello, Nightbot. Looking at this game, and so I am pumped for where everything's gonna go. All right, so we've done the shopping trip, we've done Runaway. So do we want to do Grown Up, Long Day, Sandcastle, Fireflies, Library, Ghost, Barbecue, or the Sleepover? Which one? I think Fireflies is a really cute one. Kit, you prefer Kit? Okay, then Kit it is. You got it. I think Fireflies is cute. I think the barbecue ones, I think they're all pretty good, honestly. This game is just really sweet. Is there one you guys in chat would like most? Fireflies? Alright. Let's do that then. All right. Oh shoot, I don't remember Lizzie's voice. Alright, tonight we're going to catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Oh wait, I eat that every night, literally. Fireflies were a familiar sight over the summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, are you? You are you? Yeah, you started eating faster, you looked at your moms, you pushed your food around on your plate. Obviously, yeah. Chat is so delayed with your talking. Oh, is it really? It shouldn't be. I have it set up so it should be pretty quick. Huh. I'll have to look at that next time. Thanks for letting me know, Marissa. The delay is only supposed to be a couple of seconds, so I don't know what's going on. You rocked lightly from side to side in your seat, already excited for your after-dinner activity. Catching fireflies was a great way to spend a summer evening, and you could already envision the little lightning bugs drifting through the darkened sky. Oh my god, what was Shiloh's voice? His voice was so weird. I did like a, that's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Birdie? That was so bad. Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally, she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the most puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look. Then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. Fine. Just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread in front of you like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at dinner table now. That's alright. If someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. Literally me as a parent. Mom said it like a joke, but you knew that they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did it immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth.
Jeez.
No one is gonna die. Sheesh. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. Your sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. Huh? You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest. Oh. Good evening, Cove. He's so sad all the time. What a cutie, though. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Clove's floppy hat. Cove? You had no idea why he was here all of a sudden, but you supposed it wasn't worth worrying over. Instead, your eyes landed on Lizzie, who was looking at Cove like he had come here specifically to ruin all her plans. Then, for a second time, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off because I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket. Eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye!
Thank you.
God, Lizzie is so mean. Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged and Mom stood up from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. Wait, so he waved? He waved like this? Shiloh, you're so weird. Cove, are you going to catch fireflies with us? You should come outside with us if you want to. You weren't sure what to say now. What would we do? We would... We should do that if you want to option. I feel like we're a little shy. From the corner of your eye, you could see Lizzie glaring at you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider. Trying not to meet her gaze, you looked at Cove. Whatever Lizzie thought of him, he wasn't exactly a stranger anymore. We're gonna catch fireflies on the hill out back.
Okay.
I want to see them. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must have not been anywhere he used to live. Sometimes when I'm reading, my brain just doesn't register words. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. Oh, Cove. The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Her phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. Coming? After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh. By the time you walked outside, you pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get further and further away.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, Devin. You don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. Are you not gonna come? You tugged him along. You walked with him. You waved at him to hurry. You ran off. What do we want to do? I'm gonna, I think... Let's tug him. Let's tug Cove along. Or tug him along. Let's go! Oh, I did Lizzie's voice. Too many voices. You gave his arm a pulse, but immediately recoiled when he hissed, "Oh shit! Oh my god, I forgot about his cast! Did I pull on his broken arm? Are you kidding me? I didn't mean that, Cove. I'm so sorry. In a hurry, you had accidentally grabbed his cast arm. You hadn't thought about that. Oh no, I suck. Oh my god. Cove. Sorry. It's fine. Just go by yourself. Oh no! He hates me now! Rip. Oh boy. Oh, you couldn't help but feel bad as he rubbed his arm and refused to look at you. But since it didn't seem like he wanted you there, you did what he said and hurried to the hill. Oh my god, I feel so bad. There were already a lot of fireflies out glowing, bobbing about like buoys on wave. Oh, can we even come back from that? Is he gonna like hate us forever? Lizzie was standing on top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle. Where's Cove? You looked behind you, wondering if you'd upset him enough to send him home. But a second later, he rounded the corner, looking around at all the fireflies with interest. Oh, thank God. I got really nervous. Wow. Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hey guys, it's really great, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea green head. Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You and Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. You quietly looked on. You shooed the bug away. I'm gonna giggle. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. What? Oh. Oh, look! Lizzie has one. That's amazing. Shiloh ran to the highest point on the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight, its tiny legs tickling your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clasp his hands around the firefly. Ugh. No worries, Marissa. Thanks for coming back. You're always welcome. Cove watched it vanish. So fun fact about fireflies, actually, since we're looking at fireflies. I had never seen one before this year. Yeah, this year. This is my first year I've ever seen fireflies before. I guess on the East Coast we don't get them that often. So, yeah, fun fact. My very first time. I know. Wow, I was right. All right. How do we want to help Cove? I broke his arm again. Not really, but like felt like I did. So you encouraged him to try again. Told him about Firefly you had. You made a joke about what happened. You did your own thing. I lived on the East Coast and saw them. Really? It must have just been like the area I lived in. I don't know. I never saw them before. But now that I'm in the Midwest, more so, like more inland, I see them every summer, and they're really pretty, and I'm kind of obsessed. You'll get the next one. Texas had a lot too. Yeah, I would bet hot areas would have a lot. Cove didn't say anything, and you thought he must be upset. He walked further up the hill to continue his hunt, and you let your own firefly flutter back into the air. That was fine. You had your own plans. Really? On a regular... you have them on the regular in Kansas? Wow. Yeah, no, on the East Coast, I had never seen them before, and then In the area I live now, I see them all the time. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why. I think it must be like the way the plants are or something. I don't know. Let's collect more. Mid to late spring is the best for it. All right, I'll have to keep that in mind. I hope we have good weather for it, because I think they're beautiful. I used to sit on my porch. This summer, I sat on my porch a lot, and I would just like watch the fireflies go, and it was like I literally felt like magic, like fairies were everywhere. I'm a kid. I'm a little kid. I don't know. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it all. You could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first, you tried to keep a tally on how many you had caught, but once the number grew higher than 10, you had no fingers left to count with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and the sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out, and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt.
Come on!
Devin, Cove, get up here. We're gonna have a race. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning to you with quick and hand gestures. I can't talk. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From a corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued by the idea. Hi.
Cove.
Hi, Cove. You can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was the kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
The cast was sturdy. It was careful. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. You got into position for the race. I'll stay with Cove. I'm going to do something else. Let's stay with Cove. We hurt his arm tonight, so I feel like the least we can do is stay with him.
Really?
Really? Why? You don't have to. It's okay. I want to watch. You moved beside him on top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you and made a face. That's not how races work. We only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Then again, it's more common in eastern side of the state than western. Oh, that's really interesting. I wonder why. I wonder what like the pattern of fireflies are and like how they operate. Maybe I need to become, is there a job like a bugologist or something? No, there is one. Ecologist? No, it's not ecologist. I don't know. Fine, I'll be the winner whether you join or not. Lizzie's so sassy. Lizzie moved to lay down and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point and stood next to him. Count down! Cove stood up a little straighter. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom of the hill. You and Cove leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck and neck until about halfway down the hill. Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped up excitedly and threw his hands in the air. I won! Almost immediately, he fell back onto the grass, still dizzy from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stopped out of the bush. She had ended up in, spluttering angrily, brushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad. You got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Kids, it's time to come in. No! You snickered, feeling grateful you hadn't been a part of the mini debacle. You caught Cove's eyes and saw that he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side, down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter, much anyway. All that mattered was that you all had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's face, you did. Yay! Okay, what's next? So technically, I don't know if you guys have played this game before, but technically, this is like the time order of like events happening, but you can play them in any order, which I think is really cool. I've never seen like a dating sim like that before, where you got to pick what order you do events in. And our next stage, so when we end the summer, our next stage is like tween years, and then the stage after that is when we're, I believe, adults, like young adults together. So it's cool. It's a cool timeline. I think that's why it's called Our Life, because like you're growing together. I think that's really sweet. I don't know. Eastern Kansas has more humbled and warm areas than do you mean Western Kansas? Eastern Kansas has more than Western Kansas, so that helps explain a lot. Okay, that makes sense. Let's do the ghost. The night was incredibly still. You really couldn't ignore how silent it was. It was almost eerie. You could even hear Lizzie snoring in the room over. It was hard to believe how much of a blur today was. Summer sure did slip right past you. You flipped through the moments like pages in a scrapbook as you laid in bed. You thought a lot about adventures you could have tomorrow until sleep started to catch up to you. Then you heard something scrape against the window. It wasn't that uncommon for the wind to push a tree branch against the glass. Summer breezes were the worst sometimes. But the more you tried to ignore it, the louder it seemed like it became. Okay, that makes sense. It was like something was trying to get your attention. You lifted your head off to the pillow to get a better look. Nothing was there. Nothing you could see, at least. Little bit of a brain fart there, yeah. So reading out loud is literally like my nemesis. I have some reading disorders. So my brain will skip things all the time, and so reading for you guys, I'm trying to be very careful not to do that. But it will make for some funny moments where I say things completely wrong, I promise. You just went back to bed. It was only... Let's investigate. It's too creepy to ignore. You practically jumped out of bed and crept down the stairs to go outside. Your moms were still awake. They stayed up so late, it seemed. Luckily, they were watching TV and didn't hear the soft click of the front door opening as you slipped past. How the heck did I get past my mom's? You looked around the neighborhood for a few seconds, checking over each individual house. It looked normal, but it didn't feel that way. You knew you weren't supposed to be out there right now. Thanks for lurking, Marissa. You're the best. Always appreciated. It was exhilarating. Your chest was light and you couldn't keep the grin from your face. No one had permitted you to go out. In fact, no one even knew you were out. And yet, you were here. You wondered what else you could do. What other rules were so ingrained that you had never even considered what they could be broken.
Devin.
Cove just said my name! That's cool. You twitched at the sudden call, immediately calming down upon seeing Cove walk up to you. It was strange, and yet also completely normal, to have him appear like this right now. What are you doing? I saw you standing around in the middle of the street from my window. You weren't sleeping either? Why not? Cove turned up his lips to smile, almost as if he were amused by the question. Because... Cove. You're so cute. Because what? I'm glad you're here. You should be in bed. Did you hear a weird noise? I'm gonna say that one. You could tell you hit the nail on the head by the way his eyes widened. Yeah, you knew? I heard it too. That's why you came out, huh? Cove hesitated for a moment, looking down the street before his aquamarine eyes fell on you again. Did it scare you? A little. Me too. Me too. Oh, they're such cute kids. The two of you delicately smiled at that. Cove even chuckled a bit. It was nice that you both felt the same way about things. I was kind of wondering if it was the wind, but what if it's not? What if it's a person? What if it's something that's not a person? The unsettling noise suddenly rushed through the air. Cove and you flinched. It sounds even worse than before. You were about to agree with him when the noise came yet again, tearing through the still night. The two of you rapidly looked around, trying to ignore the source, but to no avail. There was no sign of an answer to this puzzle. You thought that it could be anything. It had to be a ghost. There's gotta be a regular reason for it. Alright, as a 9-year-old child, I definitely would have Immediately confused. Invisible creepy thing luring children from their beds, it had to be a monster. You were torn between the curiosity of discovering what the noise really was and being scared enough to want to run straight home and hide under the bed covers. Hey, can you tell where it's coming from?
Not really.
Not really. Then we'll have to look more, somewhere else. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, let's go. The two of you walked along the familiar streets of your neighborhood, sharing the sidewalk and whatever amount of courage you had between each other. Shadows cut corners and angles where you didn't expect them, distorting the features you saw every day. The noise came again, shrill and hard. It set your teeth on edge, the way it ground its way through you. Cove's throat bobbed, his eyes glistened in the dim light. You focused ahead. You offered him your hand. You comforted him. You took a deep breath to calm yourself. You stayed frozen to the spot. I'm offering my hand. It was what your moms did when you or Lizzie were scared, and it's always made you feel better. It just felt right to do it for him now. Cove's mouth opened wordlessly. There was a pause, but ultimately he accepted the offer. Your hands were never as sweaty as Cove's was now. Oh, poor Cove. Cove shut his eyes and pressed his lips together. Your fingers locked around each other even tighter.
So...
where did you want to check? The park, the beach, the hill behind my house. Let's do the hill first. You and Cove ascended the hill, lit only by the stars in the night sky. The wind rippled through the grass and ruffled your hair. Without the sun's light to translate what you were seeing, every bush in the distance looked like a creepy figure of a towering monster. The noise was just as loud here as it was in your neighborhood, with just as little indication behind the cause. But you kept going forward. You ran away. You snuck back to your neighborhood quietly. Let's keep going forward. You couldn't stop when you had already gone so far. You had to find out what was going on. The top of the hill was an excellent vantage point to survey the town from. Everything appeared normal. There was no out-of-place sight pinpointing the answer to this mystery. Why do I feel like we've entered a Nancy Drew novel all of a sudden in the middle of this summer? Without visible markers to guide your way, you supposed it was up to you and Cove to deduce the source of the sound. We are literally detectives. The hill had many great hiding places, and you intended to check them all. You upturned rocks, peered up trees, and rummaged in the thick grass for anything that might bring some closure on all of this. Despite your thorough searching, you turned up nothing amiss. Still, we're glad you had come. We're frustrated by the lack of polish. Wish you stayed in bed. Frustrated. The noise had raised many questions, and you had been unable to get any answers. Being bested like this was infuriating. Well, whatever the noise was, you were confident that you had established that it was not coming from the hill. Once you were satisfied nothing out of the ordinary was to be found on the hill, you had to consider your next step. You figured you checked the park too. You figured you checked the beach too. You decided to go home. Do you think it could be like a whale or something? Like, whales make really weird sounds, right? Like, let's go check the beach. I think it might be a whale. The beach stretched out in front of you, nothing in sight, along its sands, no matter which way you turned. Part of you had imagined the noise as some creature of the deep, washed up on the shore. Oh my god, me and Devin, we on the same page. Calling for aid. That theory had been taken off the list for now. Still, you'd spent enough time on the shore to know that the real finds often required a sharp eye and careful attention. That sound was no more than a whimper now. Emboldened, you kept your head high and walked along the sand. Let's see if there's anything here. Cove began to comb the beach for clues. You followed suit. The angry wind sent grains of sand rolling across the beach like waves. You stayed clear of the water, which was rough and choppy tonight, and scoured the area for hints as to what might be happening. You were too wrapped up in your own search and imagining the possibilities behind the noise to pay attention to what Cove was up to, though you occasionally glanced up to make sure he hadn't vanished. You saw a little white point jutting out amongst the sand. You bent down and brushed the grains away, like an archaeologist on TV, uncovering a canonical shell. You ran your fingers over its bumps and curves, admiring the little shell. Holding it to your ear, you heard the usual waves. Though your find was undoubtedly special, it was unconnected to the mysterious noise. That was okay. That meant you could take it home safely and add it to your collection. Hey, at least we found a shell to add to our collection. That's good. As you contemplated your options, it occurred to you that you hadn't heard the noise for a while. Cove, I think it's gone. Cove perked up at this. You watched as he listened for the scary sound that had become background noise to your adventure.
You're right.
You're right. You both stirred awkwardly in the now silent night. Without the mysterious call to lead you, there wasn't a reason to stay out here any longer. Hello, Mageborn! Thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. Have fun watching anime. What anime are you watching? If you're still listening, please tell me. I'm in need of a new anime. The night was still as you walked home, with none of the usual background noises or the eerie whistle from before. You could hear every step you and Cove made, like a cough in a movie theater. The two of you came to a halt outside your front door. Never before had it looked so ominous. Now to sneak back inside. Do you sneak out a lot? This is first time? Not really. Lots. You were lying. Lots. You're telling the truth. Let's lie. We're a liar. I do it pretty much every night. That's a lie. No. He chuckled to himself, not at all convinced. What does he know? Are you worried about getting caught?
No.
No. I'm standing on a million lives. Oh, I've never heard of that one. What's that one about? He was so forthright that you believed him completely. But your dad won't get mad or sad if he catches you? He's never happy with what I do. Oh. Damn, Cove. What the heck? You sympathized, you encouraged Cove to see him more positively. You stayed out of it. You didn't know how to react to that. As a 9-year-old, I didn't know how to react to that. Not knowing how to respond, you went back to staring at your front door. Alright, I'm going in.
Bye.
Okay, good night. Good night. You turned the doorknob as slowly as a clock's minute hand, holding your breath for the telltale click of the lock, then nudged it open. When all that happened was the door opening, rather than the blaring alarm that you'd feared, you're melted with relief. Back inside your house, you were surprised to find your mom still watching TV. Weirder still, it looked like they were on the same show as they were watching before you left. Yet, you were positive you'd been out investigating for hours. Perhaps you could use their distraction to your advantage? If you could just get up the stairs, you would be safe from suspicion. But how could you get there? You tried to sneak past. You decided to walk in your own house nonchalantly. You couldn't. You had to give up and come clean. Oh, hydrate. Thanks, Kit. I will hydrate. Hydrates are so important when you're reading, too. Us nonchalantly, like, we weren't out. It's fine. Sometimes the best thing you could do is to hide in plain sight. You strode across the room in the direction of the staircase. Devin? Your moms knew you were up, but they had no idea why. They abandoned the couch and their show to hurry over. They were still in a state of surprise. You weren't in trouble. Yet.
Are you okay?
What are you doing down here, sweetie? Did you have a bad dream? Oh no, I don't want to lie to my moms. Oh no. We have to tell the truth. We can't lie to the moms. Our moms are too good. I went out to find what was causing a noise. Look at their faces! Oh no! Time seemed to drag us the colored drape for your mom's faces.
Huh?
Out? Out of your bedroom? That's what you mean, right? You pointed to the front door, confirming their worst fears. Mommy remained frozen in shock. Oh fuck, I messed up. While Mom launched into a lecturing mode. Devin Birdie, it is not safe to be out at this time of night by yourself. If something was wrong, you should have come to us. I thought you knew better than that. I trusted you to know better than that. Anything could have happened to you. If we don't know where you are, it's a lot harder to keep you safe. Oh, thanks for giving 2,000 to the scary sound. See, this is why I made it harder, because I knew Boone was going to take advantage of this. A guy gets sucked into an alternate world and has to do quests assigned to him to survive. Every time they complete a quest, they get a reprieve to the real world where they get a quest to meet. And oh no, I lost it. another individual, and the next time they get sucked into the alternate world, that person is with them to help the quest. Oh, that sounds really interesting. Oh shit, I skipped by accident. Hold on. Someone taught me this. I can look at the log. Alright. Her voice was soft, yet it still cut deep. Okay. You pawed at the ground with your feet. What they were saying made sense. It was scary. I don't like being scared. I just wanted to see what was there. Boone, Mageborn got your back. Also donating 3,000? Oh my god.
Sweetie.
Honey. Mommy wrapped her arms around you, cradling the back of your head. You clung to her. You're brave for facing your fears, but you need to be smart too. It was scary because it might possibly have been something dangerous, right? That kind of worry is something you should tell us about. Okay. Mom shook her head with a sigh. Let's get you back to bed where you belong. Right, and we'll talk about this in the morning. You pulled at a face at that, but didn't protest. All things considered, they could have been much harder on you. Once your moms had left, you turned over the night's adventure in your mind. It was still hard to believe that you'd really done it. Sure, you were going to have a talk tomorrow, but it had been a night that you never forget, for better and worse. You wondered how Cove's dad had handled his situation. His return. Cove hadn't been at all scared about his dad's reaction. It's kind of sad that Cove, and his dad have such a divide between them. Wriggling down deeper underneath the sea, your thoughts turned to what the noise could have been. Nothing had been solved tonight, but that wasn't so bad. There were a lot of mysteries in this world. Your thoughts morphed into dreams, carrying you to more and more outlandish visions of what might lay behind the strange sounds. In the morning, the lecture continued, but ultimately your moms let you go off with a warning. It had been pretty unusual circumstances after all. You later learned Cove didn't end up in trouble for the nightly escapade either. It was unclear whether that was because his dad chose not to punish him, or if Cove got away with it. As for the sounds that started this all, the adults around were convinced it was nothing more than the wind. For your imaginative mind, that wasn't nearly enough. How could they accept something so simple, so easily? Maybe it'd make more sense when you were grown up too. Alright! Grown up? Long day, sandcastle, library, barbecue, or sleepover. Let me know if anyone has a preference. I know most people, I think, are lurking because they're multitasking, which I appreciate. But if you are here and you have a preference, speak now or forever hold your peace. Grown up? Okay, let's do it. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you alone with Lizzie to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt like it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. Targeted. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play.
Why?
Duh.
I said why, and it'll be fun, duh. What do they do inside that we don't? Besides us use the phone a lot. I think your heart with the two is cute too, Lexi. Excluding a small hef, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove.
What do you think?
Devin, what do you think? Do you want to? Cove said it. That doesn't sound fun. I bet we could come up with something else. I don't know. I want to. Yeah, whatever. You do? Seriously? Yeah. Hooray! Okay, let me think of what to do. I want to be... Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something that without asking either of you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Devin, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults? Yeah. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Devin? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? Kind of like those. It really doesn't. Haha, it sounds like a blast. Isn't there anything else we can be? You nodded. Maybe not. Well, I had an older sister. Oh my god, no. I have an older sister. Bad past tense phrasing right there. I have an older sister, and at this age, I definitely would have not listened to her at all. So I'm gonna go with, isn't there anything else we can be? Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Nope, come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, you sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you preferred to play 100% gymnastics. If you couldn't spend the afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, then you might as well practice them inside. There couldn't be as much space as there was outside, but you could still try. Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be a gymnast.
All right.
How about you, Cove? I picked volleyball. I should have known. Okay, so Devin, you're a famous gymnast, and Cove, you're on a popular beach volleyball team. And Lizzie ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Cove didn't seem at all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
Huh, that's makes it fun. Anyways, what? I gotta readjust. Ugh. Kitty view. Kitty shot. While we fix. I'm wearing my kitty pants today too. I wanted to dress in fun colors for. Oh no, bye Casper. He didn't like my fix. Okay. Anyway, Lizzie marched back and forth in front of us, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's Mickey Wright? Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter. If you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Cove, your team was bronze, and Devin, you barely missed out on the gold and got silver. It's more real if we don't all win first place. Silver sucks. I don't want silver. I'm okay with that. Hey, we can do better than silver. Silver's not bad. Nice. You stayed silent. How's the awesome stream doing? Are you talking to Lexi or me? We're doing good. I think we're doing fine. I like this game a lot. It's really cute. By the way, y'all, if any of you want to throw in and pick an option before I click it, let me know. I don't mind going with the group decisions. I just figured waiting on every single option would probably take freaking forever. Hence why I'm just going through. Silver's not bad. Nice. It may not be first place, but you knew that silver medals were still really good to get at the Olympics. But it isn't gold.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way! It wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. Oh, well, Kit, I think it's going grand. I am fully enjoying this game, and it makes me happy. It's so sweet and cute. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed to him, apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like a normal house is where with a street on it, right on the sand by the water. Cove is so cute. Oh my gosh. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? I meant to say it's pretty good so far, in my opinion, but I forgot to actually type it. Okay, well, I will. Is it on Netflix or Crunchyroll, or how are you watching it? I think I typically use like Kiss Anime or something to watch my anime, but speaking of cute anime and cute things, I don't know if anyone's like a Fruits Basket fan here, but the remake of the Fruit Basket anime, so good. So much better than the original. I was a Fruba girl in middle school. Like, I was so happy. Jeez, well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not
How come
fair.
you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her sides. It's not impossible, it's just better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought you prefer a mansion, being on a beach was cooler, you wanted to agree with Lizzie. Cove was right. You're tired of deciding between either of them. I'll go with Cove, honestly. I want to live on a beach. That sounds great. Cove's idea is good. You shouldn't say yours is the only right one. No one asked for your opinion. Cove granted you a small nod, which was a rare moment of acknowledgement from him. You didn't think it was that big of a deal. The All Through Facet was okay. Might check out the remake. No. I disagree, Mage Born, because the Old Fruit Basket was so bad. If you read the manga at all, the Old Fruit Basket was atrocious. It was so bad. The remake actually follows the. Oh my god! Thank you for the raid. Oh my gosh. Okay, shout out to Dave. Thank you. That's so nice. This is the first time I've ever been raided. Welcome. I was just yelling about how bad the Old Fruits Basket was. It's so nice. Oh, I spelled names wrong. Everyone here, if you don't already follow, go follow. Fantastic creator, does really cute games. You were just playing, oh, thank you for the follow. You were just playing, Professor Layton, right? How did that go? Did you have a fun time? Welcome, everyone. Welcome. You only read the first two manga of the book. Oh, thank you for the follow. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Thank you for the raid. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, this is so sweet. Welcome, raiders. Welcome, everyone. Oh my gosh. I gotta get back into the voices. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever been raided. I mean, I was raided by someone else I was streaming with once, but it was literally at the end of the stream, and I think everyone in it was the same people. So this is the first, like, real other person raid I've ever had. Thank you. Oh my gosh. This makes me so happy. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is having a great day, and that you had a lot of fun playing Professor Layton. Did you guys solve a lot of mysteries? I want to hear all about it. Okay, I gotta figure out what was my Cove voice. Thank you for the follow. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. Someone finally got arrested. Oh, good. I'm glad you figured out the mystery. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Right now, so you guys came in, we're playing Cove, I believe, is our romantic interest if you never played Our Life before. And Lizzie's our sister, and they're fighting. You came in the middle of a fight. They're very angry with each other. Yeah. And we're in Summer 1, and Summer 1, you're, like, growing up as children together. I believe you're, like, 8 or 9 years old. And we're trying to finish it out today. And then the next summer is when you're tweens. And you get to pick. This game is really cool, and it's also free if anyone likes dating sims. So, yes, all the way. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. You. I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense.
Ugh.
It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working with each other up as long as they could. Yeah, Cove. So Cove is the, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but he's the one with the green hair and the wavy eyebrows. And Lizzie is the orange hair one. And our name is Devin. We have they, them pronouns, and we have anime hair. I believe it's purple or blue. We picked like a fun color. And I have a whole backstory about, yeah, they, them. Cove, I think Cove pronouns are he, him. I later in the game, I know you get to pick a bunch of things. Like you get to pick if you're transitioning, if you're non-binary, if you're wearing like binders, if you like certain things, stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's very LGBTQIA friendly. We actually have moms, so our parents are two women. So this game is like very, very sweet. And yeah, it's very cool. I highly recommend, and it's free. It's free on Steam, everyone. So you should definitely go check it out if you like dating sims and you like LGBTQIA games. I'm glad I can make someone happy. Sharing my love for this game. And you get to choose a lot of things too. It's very cool. Nothing you said so far had kept them from being mad. Our pronouns are they, them. We are non-binary. My personal programs are she, her, though. Thankfully, I like a greeting card angel. Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging out onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Devin, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home, so you won't be left in the cold. Cold, blah, blah, blah. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But without giving Mom a chance to stop, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. By the way, interesting fact about me, Ace here. I am Demi, so I am also on the Ace spectrum, Kit. So we are just a group of LGBTQIA folks here, and I love it. You should, if you've never played a dating sim before, Flora, you should definitely check this out. It's very cute.
Huh?
Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our friend, weren't you? Oh, we always tell Mom the truth. I already got in trouble for whatever. We were playing pretend, and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both her hands on her hips. Elizabeth, I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was...
That's enough.
No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work, okay? Tonight. Whoa. Words. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. All right. We better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. Nilani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you'd like to listen to. You picked your favorite song. It was always made the car ride more fun. You chose the soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago. You chose a song you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. Let's do that. We did just tattle on our sister, so let's try to cheer her up. You were happy to see it brightened her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Soon enough, her bad news was a thing of the past. When the car ride was over, hello there! Thank you for playing the sound, Poppy Iron Shield. Welcome, welcome. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hours watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. Thank you for the follow! Thank you so much! You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of the sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner, and you went to a restaurant you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in the better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming. When you all got back home, clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So,
Now, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone, the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them back from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. Oh man. You didn't regret it. You felt a little guilty, like you had betrayed your sister. You hadn't liked doing it, but had to. But it was her fault for doing it in the first place. Let's say you felt guilty. You could still remember the look on Lizzie's face. There was no doubt she felt that way too. You and your sister didn't always get along, but you cared about each other. This couldn't change that, you thought. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. Oh my god, I feel so bad. You remember the number for Cove's home, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head. Can I just say that all the parents in this game are very, very attractive? That's just gonna throw that out there. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed the button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times and stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Oh god, I can never do Cove's dad's voice. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mom, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie Birdie? What a surprise. But of course you can. Say hey to the boy. It sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Yeah, that's his dad, right? Yeah, that's Cove's dad. So there's a big mystery happening right now where we don't know the deal with like what's going on with Cove's family. So summer one, Cove is new to the neighborhood. He's one of the only other kids that lives there. And you do know that his mom, I guess, isn't with his dad anymore. But so Cove's dad is number one. Is that what I'm getting, Kit? Or we are number one. I'm not sure. But yeah. So we are not quite sure what's going on with Cove's family, but Cove is really upset and he's very sad. Thanks for lurking, Lexi. It's always appreciated. No. You thought hard and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Nolani, Devin, and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You spoke up to say hello too. You said nothing to Cove's dad. I'll say hi. Hi, Mr. Holden. Okay, I got it, Kit. So Mr. Holden's number one on the list. You should see Cove's mom, though. I can't wait until she gets introduced. The gang's all here, huh? Something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. Oh, I'm reading a narrator voice. I don't think you're supposed to date that Cove's dad. Yeah, no. You're definitely not supposed to. I think I do know. So there is a Patreon for this game, and I've heard from people in that Patreon that there's going to be more people you can date besides Cove, but right now you can just date Cove. In the future, obviously not as children. Or you don't have to. I really like this game because you don't have to date Cove. It's totally up to you whether or not you want to. Yeah. It's cool. I wish you could date Cove's dad, but as a child, that would be wrong. Because we are literally 8. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly despite that. It didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good. You didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. No, that went wrong. Yeah, no, I knew what you meant, Flora. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out, Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. It took a bit of back and forth, though. The conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. I want gold. Lizzie was momentarily stunned silent by the demand. You couldn't understand why that mattered so much to him. All right, you win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? Me, every time my parents used to put me on the phone, specifically with my grandparents. Can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was so obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left, since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, thank you for the cheer, kid! Oh my gosh, you're like the sweetest! I really appreciate it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on her Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued to talk to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might get along and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your room with a spring in your step. Yay! Alright, what's the next one? Oh my gosh, thank you! A raid and a cheering. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, oh my god, I'm literally gonna cry. I'm shaking right now, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, you're all so sweet. Oh my god. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, this support means so much to me. Thank you for this amazing community. Thank you all. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna cry. What would you like to do next? Long day, sandcastle, barbecue, library, or sleepover? I'll let you guys all choose. Well, thank you for the raid. I'm just reading that you're gonna run off. I really appreciate it. Oh my gosh! Thank you for gifting a sub. You guys are all so supportive. Oh my gosh, thank you. That's so sweet. Oh my god. I hope you enjoy your new emotes. So it's Appa. The first one is Appa, and I hope you enjoy it. And you enjoy any ad-free viewing, I guess, is the other one. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, me trying to make sure my Prime sub gets moved to you. Oh, thank you, Lexi. Oh my god, guys. I literally, like... The community that has come out of streaming means the absolute world to me. Being alone so much in quarantine and, like... This year has been really hard. I know it's been really hard for a lot of people, and so just, like, having met all of you and having this, like, wonderful group of people, like, thank you so much. I literally can't express how much it means to me, all the support, and all of the love. Is there a day that you would all like to do here? Would you like one, or do you want me to pick? Keeping it open. I hope you like it too, Kit. Do you like the Appa love? I that's one of my favorites. Appa's precious, and Avatar is one of my favorite animes, so. Sandcastle, Lexi, your votes for Sandcastle? Okay. I'm literally shaking right now, guys. Oh my gosh. Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When you and him and Shiloh sat on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming anytime soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering and blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. Are those 5 gray ones the ones you've done before? Yeah. So we started a couple streams ago. I was gonna do I had some tech issues, but we started with the first one with the shopping trip, and then the second one we did Runaway, and then I think we've done three more today. So we're trying to finish out summer 1 today, so that we can get to summer 2 for next time. Glittering and blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. From what you'd heard about Cove's old life so far, in tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. Like, make a pact with a witch or something, just to get it off his arm. You thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this one, with his old home and his mom and dad. But now he was here with you and Shiloh and Lizzie and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad. It had all your favorite things in it. But sitting there on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye, quietly, and he finally said aloud what you'd been pondering. I wish I could go in. The water? Gosh, Shiloh's voice is so hard. Why did I decide to make it that? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently soon wasn't soon enough. Also, something I should mention is the game's free, but I do have the DLC, which was like $3 or something. So for summer 1 and summer 2, there's extra ones besides the top 5, which are free. It's so pretty, the ocean. And huge. There could be anything out there, like mermaids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish you didn't have a cast. I don't really care. Swimming might be fun if we could. I'm here on land. Mermaids aren't real. Well, we did. I think Cove is making reference to the time we told him that our dolphin was a mermaid. So I'm gonna go with, I wish you didn't have a cast. Me too. Obviously not interested in hearing much more on your input on this. I'm so bad at talking with Cove. This is the second time I've stuck my foot in my mouth. Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye. Hey, are you building a sandcastle?
Sort of. I was playing around while you were talking. I'm listening.
Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before.
It's really nothing special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away.
Well, how do you do it then? Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him.
I'll play too. I love making sand stuff.
He put his hands back to his seashells and sand and nodded.
I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get a house started.
Shiloh, focusing more intently than you'd ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared.
That's all, kind of. You can do anything now. Like, it's bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine's gonna be a real sandcastle.
Cool.
Cool. This is gonna be my house.
Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make... one's making a house, one's making a castle. I'll make a mansion. Let's have all three. Looking at the base of your sandcastles, you decided to do what Lizzie would do and design a mansion. The better part of the next hour was spent focusing on your work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks at everyone else as he usually did. You finished shaping before either of them did, glancing up from what you'd built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached for was a sea glass. Oh my god, I have a huge collection of sea glass in my house. I love sea glass. It was the best fit for your mansion, you decided. It was see-through and sparkly, so you put it in a funny place where it'd take a second to look to see it. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. You checked out Cove's sandcastle, you checked out Shiloh's. You decided not to look. Let's check out Cove's. The castle Cove had built looked surprisingly tidy, especially for someone in a cast. He must have worked really hard. He wasn't even finished digging the huge gaping moat in front, but it was already enormous. You got the sense from the enthusiasm he was digging with that the doctor was probably going to find a bunch of sand when he finally removed the pink plaster. The silence was then broken. What's on top of yours, Shiloh? You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney.
Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
Neat.
It's good. That's smart.
You should be an architect. You'd be good at it, Shiloh.
Shiloh smiled without a word. And that was that for the current topic. Devin, can I see what you did?
Sure.
He began surveying your work. All you really knew about the mansion was that they were supposed to be big, so you'd gone really big. It was the size of the country club that Lizzie played golf at, compared to Cove and Shiloh's buildings, probably even bigger. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in the new conversation.
Hey, Devin, what did you do? This is my mansion.
Cove scowled for a moment. Oh shoot, did I just trigger him? I'm sorry, Cove. I don't mean to trigger you. Apparently the anger was still there after his argument with Lizzie more than a week ago.
It looks great.
Your house is so big. It's not a big house, it's a mansion. I guess mansions are really big houses. Thanks. You just looked at him. Some of these are so mean. Oh,
So, Flora, you missed it. When you guys were raiding, Cove and Lizzie were fighting about what houses they were going to live in after the Olympics. It was a make-believe game that they were playing. And Cove wanted to live in a house on the beach, and Lizzie was like, I'm going to live in a mansion. And then they got in a fight because Lizzie was like, your idea's stupid. You know, kid fights. So, yeah, I didn't think about that when I decided to make a mansion. Maybe. You're welcome. I don't think that's the same as a house. Huh? Is being a house bad?
No.
No. But we each made our own place. Nobody is the same. I think we are. Cove raised an eyebrow at that. If something is the only one at that thing, that makes it special. Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff. People too. My dad always says how everybody's their own man, a real individual. I don't think I'm very special.
Oh, Shiloh, that's so sad. Oh, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome, Monster Camo?
Oh my gosh. Why not? Everybody else is. Nobody else is you. Oh my god, Cove with the affirmations today. I love it. Shiloh simply shook his head. I'm not different.
That's so sad. A beat passed between the two. Cove then looked down at his own work again. Okay. He didn't seem to be bothered, leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind. My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to. Cove strolled off again. There was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk. Hey, do you know what happened when your moms met my dad, Devin? You waited to see if Shiloh would say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Cove's question. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued. So when we first met Cove's dad, he was like, "Oh hey, you live across the street. You're the new the neighbor. Here's $20. Please be friends with my son." We didn't take the money, but it was a very interesting conversation. And he was also like blocking the front entrance to our house, so he kind of scared us as a 9-year-old. Oh, well, I was there. I don't think my mom has met your dad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't. Devin's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened. This is so awkward. Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast a shadow over his face. You could tell he was upset at not being included in Cove's choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things they want is important too. Oh shoot, stay silent and let Cove finish his story. I think Shiloh wants to talk too. I don't know, it kind of seems like Cove's story is important, right? So maybe we should, but I don't want to be mean to Shiloh. Let's let Cove finish his story. Shiloh could talk about stuff after Cove had a chance to share what he planned on. When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us, only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought in it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around that new house. I really didn't want to do that. His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that. Then I saw your moms. They were in the car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said. I couldn't hear. But he couldn't see me anymore since he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. He didn't go on to say anything more.
Aren't you going to finish your story? Cove's brow wrinkled like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
Huh?
That's all that happened.
Cove! Oh my god. So when we first met Cove, he had run away and was hiding behind our house on the hill, crying. It was actually really sad. And we comforted him. But, so I guess that's what happened leading up. Why did you want to tell the story if nothing happened? You really got better. You really gotta get better at telling stories. That was a pretty bad story. Thanks for telling me. Okay. Oh man. Why did you tell me the story if nothing happened? I don't get what the point was. But that was how our parents met. I didn't make up the story. That's not really my point. Cove just was not understanding the issue here. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
Well,
I was thinking about it because of the sandcastle. It made me remember when I moved to here. Dad showed me the beach first because we went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason. Oh no, now I feel bad. I heard you say that was a pretty bad story. Thanks for telling me. I thought for a second that was one option. That would have been a really good option. That's honestly, like, in real life, if I could say that to someone who was like a close friend, obviously, I wouldn't say to that to like a stranger or something, but like, that was a pretty bad story. Thanks for telling me. 100% would say it. Cove's brow furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hand through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeted uncomfortably in the sand, had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about. Oh my god, Lily May! Thank you for the 100 cheer! Oh my gosh! Welcome back! Welcome, welcome! We're playing Our Life again. I hope you're excited. Hey, Shiloh?
Yeah?
Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening? Oh my god, Cove, you can't ask that. You can't ask people why they turn red. That's... As someone with rosacea, I can say that's a mean question. Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither of you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again. I am just wondering how I slept through 6 alarms and 100 notifications? Oh my god! Lily May, that's incredible. To be fair though, I can sleep through alarms pretty easily too. Can't ask people why their faces turn right, Laura? No, you can't ask that. It's rude. I don't know why. Oh my, hold on. What was the voice?
I don't know, I guess.
Okay. It's kind of weird. No, you can't say that either, Cove. You can't just ask people why their faces turn red and then say they look weird. Cove! What the heck? Who is Shiloh again? To you and Cove? Oh, so Shiloh is a childhood friend. He just lives, I believe, in the same like neighborhood. Like he visits his mom, maybe? I think his mom lives here and works here, and so he like plays with you over the summer. And I think you guys still go to the same school. Shiloh is older sister's friend. Yeah. Lily May's got my back. Yeah. Shiloh is like really close with Lizzie, but occasionally he'll play with you guys too. Then again, I've slept through a fire alarm before. Oh my god, how did you sleep through a fire alarm? I need that story. That sounds really scary. Shallow's eyes were wide with embarrassment, and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh. A huge deal. He didn't just look sad. He seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer.
Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody's name is Cove.
Who asked you to come?
Who asked you to come? It was probably just your dad bugging Devin's family some more because you don't have anyone else who'll ever play with you.
Shiloh. Wow, this turned quick from building sandcastles. Who knew it was gonna get so dramatic? Yeah, Shiloh isn't even your friend. He only hangs out with you when Lizzie isn't around. Oh, I don't know, Flora. I mean, I would be kind of down with Shiloh having a crush on Cove. Lily Mae says no, though. Lily Mae would know. Lily Mae is in the Patreon, I believe, correct? So you would know. Oh, Shiloh has a crush on Lizzie? I didn't know that. That makes a lot of sense. Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to laugh off. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh. I'm sorry. Me too. I was just wondering. Hey, let's build another sandcastle. You try to play on your own. Are we gonna build more? You nervously messed with the sand. Oh, shiz. Oh. Ooh. I thought that's why he was blushing all the time. No, I think he's just a person who like face flushes easily. I can relate, like when I do exercise or anything, like my face flushes a lot, or if I get embarrassed, so I can relate to Shiloh in that way. Let's see, are we gonna build more? You wanna keep building sandcastles?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cove glanced at Shiloh, whose smile hadn't returned to full power, then at you. Alright. Did I make a mistake? Is this gonna be awkward? What a relief. You were glad it was settled. You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. At least you tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it helped. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out of the park together toward the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes thumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. You asked Cove what he was thinking. Something was definitely up, so you chose to reach out to him and ask, "Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face." Oh, I was just wondering. Cove fell silent again for a few seconds, then sighed. Why'd Shiloh act like that when I said he was all red a lot? Oh, okay, Cove, we gotta talk about this, alright? You were being really rude to him. He's just being a baby. You shouldn't make fun of him. I don't know, it's just Shiloh. He gets embarrassed. You shrugged and gave. You were being rude? Should we just be blunt? So at this point, I think our relationship with Cove, if I recall what I picked on like the slider, so in the game you get to like slide and choose how into Cove you are and like what you're like how you act towards him. And I think I was relaxed and indecisive. We're building a relationship, basically. So I feel like with that in mind, being blunt is fine. No, I wasn't. It looked like that to me, and it wasn't just saying that one thing. You're not very nice to Shiloh. I didn't mean it like that. Shiloh's kind of weird to talk to. See? That's kind of rude. I guess I can get it. Why would he do that? Sometimes I get really mad too. Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. What Shiloh said didn't make sense anyway. Parents always talk to other parents and set up stuff so their kids play together. My dad didn't do anything weird. You struggled not to make a face at that. He had definitely did something weird to try and get you to spend time with Cove. Yeah, he tried to pay me $20, but Cove didn't know that. Shit, do we tell Cove? Do we tell Cove? I'm gonna wait. You guys tell me. Are we telling Cove that his dad tried to pay us $20 to be his friend?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh wait, I'll read Lily Mae your comment while I wait for some opinions. I know that's not why he blesses a lot. You can learn a lot more about who Shiloh is as a person. Oh, okay, in that other game, the Exo Droplets. The way Shiloh is a major character in that, and a suck-up, and a stalker. Shiloh's a stalker? Not my words, but the words used in promotional material for Exo Droplets. Basically, he has a lot he's thinking about, and he says none of that except just now, when he insulted Cove. So I shouldn't have called Cove out for being mean. Nice thing about the slider is that you don't have to ever move it into romantic tears. Do you want Cove to cry? Oh no, I don't want Cove to cry. You can tell him later too if you want. You can also never tell him. Oh my god, no, I don't want to. So if I tell him right now, Cove will cry? But okay, so here's my question. If I tell him right now, will his family be like, will he and his dad like connect better? Because he and his dad have issues right now, right? Because like Cove doesn't really understand, and Cove's all hurt over things. I don't really know what's going on, but like is upset with his family situation. So will it like force him and his dad to talk? Because that would be good. But I also don't want to make Cove cry. So I don't know. I mean, if you tell him about the money, I expect him to be very upset. Yeah, that's true. He definitely get so upset with his dad. I mean, he connects with his dad better later either way. Okay, so we don't want Cove to cry, so I shouldn't. Okay, the vote is for no then. But if you don't tell him and he finds out years later or something, I mean, yeah, right, Flora? Like, what if he finds out when we're teens? And then he's like, how did you not tell me this earlier? And then he hates us. He's more harassed about it later. Okay. Alright, I'm trusting you, Lily Mae, and I'm not going to tell him right now because I don't want to cause 8-year-old Cove to cry. So. Well, he already cries a lot. He's kind of a crybaby. Making Cove cry is pretty easy. Let's go with nobody's gonna make me spend time with you. Cole's shoulders relax. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Aww, that was a cute face. Anyway, I knew the whole time Shiloh shouldn't have been saying things like that. You nodded, but you didn't speak. You kept your eyes firmly on the ground. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. It was time to part ways. Bye, Cove. Your parents hadn't planned anything else for you, though you knew that you'd see him eventually. Cove nodded, already turning away. Bye, Devin. You made your way to your house at a leisurely pace, going up the driveway to get to the front door. Before you went inside, you looked back. Cove was halfway to his house, his hands shoved into his pockets. You felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad or something you shouldn't. You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow after all, but for now, it was definitely something that you keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. All right, y'all. What are we doing next? So the fun thing about this game is that we can also end summer whenever we want to. So if we want to get on to the next stage of life, we can just call it quits right now and go on and like become teenagers and end the summer. Or we can keep doing cute little one-shot episodes with Cove. So if you want to do another one-shot one, let me know which one you're interested in. We have the long day, library, barbecue, or sleepover. Or we could end the summer. Also, Shiloh's kill level in XOXO Blood. Wait, you kill people in XO? Wait, I need you to explain this. Is it not a dating sim? What's XOXO? Blood drops. I thought it was another dating sim. That sounds very intense, Lily Mae. Do you know how many summons there are? There are 3 summers. We are in summer 1. And that's when you're like 8. And then summer 2 is like tween. You're like 12, 13. Summer 3 is when you're 18. You just graduated high school. And then summer 4 is coming. And I believe that's post high school, like graduation. You're like fully an adult and you've probably been dating for a while. XOXO droplets and XO blood droplets are both dating sims, yes. But there's a kill level in them? Okay, that's very interesting. Alright. Which one do we want to do, folks? I'm leaning towards long day, because it's one of the core ones that we have left. The top ones are all the core, and the bottom ones are the DLC.
Unless Lily Mae, do you have a favorite out of the ones that are left? Summer 3 is 18, Summer 4 is 23. Okay. Yeah. I knew Summer 3 was like high school, like post-high school. Blood droplets, there's kill level, but not in droplets. I'm gonna have to go look up these games because I don't understand. I'm gonna have to go look them up after stream. Okay. I think I'm gonna do long day. If people don't have a preference. It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished one cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel frustrated. All of the ones left are worth doing, although long day is probably Shiloh one. Oh, well, that's okay. It'll be interesting to see now that I know Shiloh's in a different game what happens with him. He was always wanting to hear what you thought instead of giving his own opinion, and expected you to come up with the plans. It was hard work, especially for such a hot day. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet, something like a popsicle. You wanted something fruity and brightly colored. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Outside, there were plenty of other places where such goodies could be obtained, but they were shops and demanded payment in exchange for their products. Damn you, capitalism. You sighed. You voiced your predicament out loud. You asked Shiloh for help. I'm gonna sigh. As much as you really wanted that treat, it wasn't going to happen. What's wrong? I want a popsicle. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up.
Yeah.
That sounds good. We don't have any here, and I don't have any money. Oh, let me check if I have any. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus one stray button. You set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1, you announced this to Shiloh. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he'd been watching you expectantly. It's not enough. I'm sorry. We'll need to find some more. Okay. The two of you lifted... I think Shiloh just went through puberty there, in voices. Shiloh is a dateable character in other games. So is this like his debut in this game? A long day shows a lot about Shiloh, yet not a lot at the same time. Oh, okay, I'm interested. What are we gonna find out? The two of you lifted the couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust of sandy crumbs, but every so often you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of coins. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, the two of you finished pulling your finds. Shiloh held his breath as you counted the coins once again. $2.53 and 2 buttons. You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out. Is that enough? You figured he knew the answer without looking to you for confirmation, but the thrill of your success and the reward that would follow canceled out any other feelings you might have had about that. Yeah! So what I've learned right now is that Shiloh is pretty unconfident because he keeps asking me if he's correct about things. You should now afford something at the shops. Just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands. Yay! The two of you dashed outside. The promise of sugar buoyed you on to your destination, where breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed the funds to get that treat. He seemed to notice your pause. Aren't you going to get a popsicle? Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision, rather than someone with a stake in the outcome. Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. It was your idea. You should choose. You went ahead and got what you wanted originally. Are you really sure it's okay? You tried to get something you both wanted anyway. Let's share. I feel like that's important.
It wasn't fair for you to be the only one to decide when he'd been a main factor in making this happen. Some of the money came directly from his backpack.
What do you like? All of them. The hair's so good.
You press further. But what do you really like? Popsicles or ice cream? Which is your favorite?
It's so hard to pick. I don't know.
Frustrated, you cut the heart of the matter. You want me to choose?
Yeah.
Oh my god, Shiloh! Why are you so indecisive? What the heck is this? Not exactly. XO Droplets came out first, but our life shows him before he moved there, and then during his stay at the school, so it's the same universe and timeline as XO Droplets, although I'm sure with XO Droplets, Blood Droplets, it's a lot of words. Okay, interesting. And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You sucked on the fruity popsicle you bought. The icy treat cooled you down perfectly and the zesty flavor was refreshing. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his
You
head.
can finish it.
He didn't want any? After everything he did to help you get it? That was weird. That is weird.
It's okay.
It's okay, Devin. You want it more than I do. And I'm really happy that we got to play today already. You finish it.
Why is he so self-sacrificing? Well, it wasn't worth arguing further. The frozen treat was being worn away by the sun and starting to trickle dangerously towards your fingers. If you waited much longer, then neither of you would be getting to eat it.
Alright, thanks.
The two of you began to head back home as you ate. You offered the treat once more to Shiloh, but he refused again. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt, or was too afraid to. Is that accurate, Lily Mae? Is Shiloh too scared? You figured that was his problem. That's a you problem. I didn't care. Are you scared of me? You thought that was kind of sad. Are we friends? I'm gonna say, are you scared of me? Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. No way! But you don't tell me things, like what you want to do or what treat we should get.
That's cause I'm scared. It's cause you have better ideas than I do.
Unfortunately, this was yet another thing you couldn't entirely believe Shiloh on. You hoped it was true, and that he really did feel okay around you, though. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending the afternoon with just him. There had been good times, and there had been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing, at least. The treat was delicious, and that was nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. Oh, they're together? What? You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them just as you saw the tears on Cove's face. Oh, fuck. You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you defended Cove, took a moment to make a joke, accused Lizzie of causing trouble, carefully asked what was happening. I feel like I'm getting tricked. And Lizzie actually didn't do anything this time, and Cove is crying for a completely separate reason because Cove cries a lot, but also I feel like Lizzie could have done something. But Lizzie looks sad too, so I'm gonna ask what happened. Without a time machine, the only way you were going to find out was by asking the witnesses. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even come to Cove's aid. You wanted to hear the story.
Cove? What happened?
Devin, I got yelled at. He took a deep, steadying breath. Some grandparents got mad at me.
Oh, sorry.
Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year, the same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have.
They're like that with everyone.
Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them. But the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. Yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction.
Uh-huh, I was helping.
Okay, Lizzie, God, don't read my mind.
That's cool. Is there anything I can do?
No, I'm just gonna stay away. Or you could teach them a lesson. There was a devilish glint in her eyes. What?
You should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be a great, because they're so slow. They'll never catch you. That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're just saying that because you're a chicken.
Cove glared but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you. You're not a chicken, are you? Yeah, I am a chicken. Cluck, cluck. Oh, okay, Lily, ma'am, catching up. I'm telling you, he's being a suck-up of sorts. He's trying to make you buy and eat it. It's like a hint of his personality in XO games. He's not necessarily too scared, from what I understand. It's hard to explain. Something tells me there's stuff on his mind that we wouldn't want to know. Oh, is he like a, Cassandra or something? Like, he also lies so much you'd never know when he isn't lying. What the hell, Shiloh? What the heck? He's not an innocent being like Cove is. Cove, my cinnamon bun of a human. I just want to protect Cove at all costs. She can't tease you about being a chicken if you are, in fact, a chicken. Hunched over, you folded your arms to form wings and bat them up and down. Bok, bok! Bok! For once, your sister seemed at a loss, but didn't take long for her to regain her usual confidence. So you admit it. You continue to flap your arm wings as you circle your sister, clucking all the while. There's no shame in a chicken being a chicken. Yeah. You're a chicken. Things were not going the way Lizzie expected. She fought against the laugh and looked for a way to restore her serious authority. You and Cove are both little chickens. Bok! Cove folded his arms, though. The one with the cats wasn't as tightly tucked down, and joined you in cheeping around. It was hard to cluck through the giggles that arose when you saw him imitating a chicken, but you still both gave a first-class performance. Oh my god, I love Cove. Oh my god. The door to the old couple's condo flung open to reveal one of the culprits behind Cove's tears. You froze, arm rings raised. How do I do an old man voice? Can't you let anyone have a bit of peace and quiet? He must not be a fan of theater or farm animals, as well as kids. That was the only explanation for his outburst, which was far louder than anything you and Cove had done. Go on, beat it! It was distinctly unfair, but Cove's lips was trembling, and you thought it would be best to heed his command. Lizzie took off with Shiloh immediately, trailing after her without as much as a glance back in your direction. So much for your friendship. You waved your arm at Cove, summoning him to follow you, and ran after Lizzie. The old man's hollers propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Once you were safe, did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache of your legs? You flopped down, the blades of glass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The four of you took a moment to catch your breath and enjoy the feeling of cool grass against your skin.
Cove.
Hey, Cove. Cove lifted his head. I told you there were mean grandparents around here. Cove rolled his eyes, then decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. And it was fine, you thought. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. You closed your eyes, laid on your side, and relaxed. Some time passed with you like that. It felt good to take a real break. He's so cute. You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. Look at this freaking drawing. This game is so beautiful. The blanket of clouds reminded you of the thick throat you curled under on the cold, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into new shapes. You saw a dolphin, you saw a car, you saw an alpaca, you saw a smedge, I saw a dolphin. You saw a dolphin leaping through the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. Look, a dolphin! Cove joined you in gazing skywards. Yeah, I see it. Really? No, but I like dolphins. Hey. He chuckled at your reaction. Aww. That's so cute. Literally so cute. All the sun's light faded from the sky and the moons rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every sweep of the tide. Let's go to the beach. There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You wanted to go there too, so you eagerly joined the others in descending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sandcastles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge. The waves tickled your feet. I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean with shampoo and everything. That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be serious about everything. You're the one who asked what would happen. That is what would happen. It hurt the fishes. I like bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. I no longer trust Shiloh. Thank you, Lily Mae. I question all of his intentions now. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious. You never heard Lizzie use that word before. Mommy loves to have bubble baths in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm going to do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up anyway? Not for a while. She's busy. What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would somebody want to talk about something they would never talk about? You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed by waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms. It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Devin. I don't have a dad, but I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now, too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone. Cove nodded. Is his mom gone or, like, divorced? I didn't think she was dead, because he tried to run away to see her. So, I think they're just divorced, maybe? You joked about Shelley's mom getting together with Cove's dad. No. Even if they're all different, our parents are good in their own ways. He didn't say anything. Let's go with that one. Yeah. Cove couldn't muster a response. You don't think he truly disagreed, though. The silence broke with the splashes as Lizzie kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your legs. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of the way. Cove sprayed his own with a grin. You retaliated. You used your foot to smack the water, pooling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. You laughed as she sputtered, some of the salty water having landed in her mouth. Ooh, I have good aim. She spat it out. Yuck! Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. You dashed up and down the coast, taking it in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war. Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by him falling face first onto the ground. That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, skating over his prone body. Oh shit. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain. As you all hurried to check up on him, his hair was plastered to his head and his soaked clothes clung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it. That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah. my foot. Oh my god, what was that voice? Oh, how do I do it? My foot stuck and I fell over.
You dumbo.
Way to go, Shiloh, you dumbo. Offered him some help up. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Oh, okay, Shiloh. God. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh, too. He reached over and took it slowly. He started to pull himself from the ground. Okay, Shiloh. What the frick? Alright, I'm gonna catch up on chat. Exciting development in my world. I'm officially independent with my phone plan. Yay, Lexi! Just ordered a new phone and a new SIM card, and it's all going on the credit card that I don't have to pay off until March. That's exciting! Congratulations! Cove canonically has undiagnosed autism. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I could see that. I thought it would be cool to mention. That is awesome. I love the diversity in this game. Thank you for sharing. We love some representation of all sorts.
Cove's mom is alive. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. I thought they were just divorced. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them. Poof!
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I bet Shiloh did that on purpose. I bet you any money Shiloh did that on purpose. What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low. There's no way Shiloh could do something like that on purpose, then pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. I disagree. Devin. I definitely think that was on purpose. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps in the sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as the cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside chatting to Cove's dad. They're so pretty. We're back! Your mom's faces fell as they took in the state you were all in, ranging from messy to soaked.
Now,
Elizabeth, is that all that you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to be for a long drive home? Cold and filthy? Lisa's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been making memories, bucko. Bucko! Bucko! Mr. Holden. I'm glad you had a good time with your friends. Cove's green hair is natural, by the way. Is it really? Oh, his mom? I think I've seen pictures of his mom and she's super pretty. I made a character for the game, like an OC for the MC kind of thing. Oh, that's cool. Cove used his slightly moist cast arm to push his dad off. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time had just as much fun. That might be right, kids. What can you do? Come on, Cove. Let's get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought.
Okay.
That a boy. I can't do Cove's dad voice. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his troubles.
take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. Night, Birdie family, and Shiloh too.
Fine.
Well, we'd better do what we can to fix you guys up too. Come on, everybody inside. I want to march straight to the downstairs bathroom.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom.
Okay, Lizzie's mom.
Don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found you waited in the hall. Until you were less sandy, you weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Miss Fields had come to collect him a while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without that hat on for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the hot tub. Go in the tub first. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed clean up session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer and it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Yay! Okay, library, barbecue, sleepover. I think we should do... I'm gonna save first. What's your character like, Lily Mae? What have you decided to do with them? I'm always so interested. Feel like barbecue sounds fun. So we got 3 more and then it will be the end of summer. And then that will be when we end the stream. So I'm thinking probably another hour. We'll go. Library? Okay, we'll do library. I hear the votes. Library it is.
Every year, the Sunset Bird Memorial Library held a summer reading program. Your moms and Lizzie's were big fans of it. Mom and Mommy because it encouraged reading, and Lizzie because she could win prizes. When it came to what you thought of having to read a bunch of books and then going to the library with a competitive Lizzie, you hated it. But there was no way to get out of it when everyone else in your family adored it. No matter how many jokes you'd crack about it being boring, you and Lizzie went with Shiloh before, and this year you brought Cove with too. His dad had been so over the moon about Cove being included that he'd driven all 4 of you. Oh, that's cute. You had never been in Cove's dad's car before. It seemed a lot shinier than your mom's. After herding the group inside, Mr. Holden gave you all a wide wave with the arm that was a stingray on it. Oh, he has a tattoo? How have I not noticed that before? Have fun, kids! Stay in sight of the librarians, you hear? I wish I could watch you in action, but your poor old dad has to finish up some work.
I got it.
Though, I'm sure that won't get in the way. Heck, I'd probably hold you kids up back. There's pointedly no reply from his son over that. Was likely meant as only a joke. Cove's dad seems to deflate a bit. I'll swing by. I feel so bad for Cove's dad. I understand why Cove is upset with him, but poor Cove dad. I'll swing around again when this shindig ends. Oh my god, buckaroo, shindig. you can go home now.
Aw.
You don't have to throw me out the door. Your sister already in full competition mode cut him off. For once, Cove looked grateful she was there.
Come on!
We have to find a table, Mr. Holden. You can talk to Cove after, when we win. Okay. See you in about an hour. Have fun. Did I say that already? My advanced age is really catching up to me now. Mood.
Bye.
Bye, Dad. Bye, son. The 4 of you watched him shuffle out of the library, glancing over his shoulder at Cove more than once.
Bye!
Bye, Mr. Holden. Thanks for bringing us. Thanks, Lizzie. I don't know what you're thanking me for. Are you copying Shiloh? Distracted, Cove is already glancing around the gigantic library. I want to go explore. What? I said I want to go look around and see what's in there. But the quiz starts soon. That's why we came. Wide at the first signs of conflict, Shiloh's eyes darted between Lizzie and Cove. Then you can do it without me, right? You don't need a bunch of people. Didn't your dad say to stay with the librarians? You shouldn't do something by yourself. Cove leveled an unimpressed stare at both of them. Then his eyes met yours. Do we go with Cove? Or do we go with our sister? Oh, shoot. They're non-binary character who uses he, they pronouns. So naturally, I put they as pronouns in game. I like that. And their name is Blue. I actually made a Twitter for them. Oh, that's so cute. I can show drawings. I've done a Blue if you'd like. I love making characters. I would love to see your drawings of Blue. I love people's drawings of things. That's fantastic. That sounds really interesting. I've had to go exploring.
Seriously?
Cove looked surprised, but happy at the same time. For all that you kept making fun of the whole idea of kids' quiz, you never directly admitted to hating it. Ugh, fine. Let's go, Shiloh. Okay. Her arms folded, your sister stormed off. Shiloh had to race to keep up with her. She cares a lot about that. That's just how Lizzie is. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't get it. Since you've been here a lot before, we could play hide and seek. Hide and seek? Not exploring? Yeah. I'm searching for you, and you're searching for me. We'll really have to look at everything. You weren't entirely sure of how effective that would be, but couldn't say he was totally wrong. I'll hide first. Okay. Decision made, Cove took off toward the back of the library. Alright guys, pull off our hide and seek abilities. I'll throw drawings in the photos channel Discord. Perfect, I'll take a look after stream. That's awesome, I'm excited. You already agreed to play with him instead, so you covered your face and waited for 10 seconds. When you looked up again, he was nowhere to be seen. You glanced over toward the way he went. Cove hadn't had much time to hide, but he was already invisible. The place you decided to check was Next to the Peter Pan costume, beside the fairy tale display, behind the solar system model. I feel like if I was playing hide and seek, I would hide behind something. So let's go behind. Your library solar system display was pretty neat. It had all of the planets from the sun on a sun on it. Oh god, I can't talk. And it had its own little section hidden in the science books. But you saw a tiny pair of familiar shoes poking out from the earth, so you leaned around it. Did I really get him on the first go? Hey there.
Hey there, Demons. It's me, your boy.
Oh, hey.
Oh wait, wrong voices.
Ugh. You turned back to the earth and its tiny moon. From this spot, I think it's supposed to be a solar eclipse. It kind of blocks out the sun. You looked at it tilting your head. He was right. The thing was something you always walked by, but you never noticed that before. Hide and seek did seem to be working out for finding interesting things. Your turn now. I'm gonna cover my eyes and count to 10. I promise I won't peek. While Cove had his eyes securely behind the palms of his hands, you went to go hide. By the fire awareness station near the stuffed animals under a giant piece of fruit. By the outlaw in the fit near the toddler mix. Let's hide under the giant piece of fruit. Nobody had any idea why there was a giant peach sitting in a corner. It had something to do with a book about a kid named James. Lizzie had said this once, but you never read it. The huge sculpture mostly just took up a lot of space, but you could read yourself next to it and hide carefully. Sure enough, it took a little while for Cove to find you. Long enough that you'd gotten tired of sitting hunched up. You won this round, and you were ready to come out. Cove smiled when you stepped out into the open. He was also glad for the resolution. Good hiding spot. I was about to start looking outside. Thanks. I'm pretty good at this. You grinned back as you brushed the debris off your clothes. Nobody had cleaned back there in a long time.
All right.
It's my turn now. Start counting so I can go back and pick a spot. Okay. Cove darted off before you even had a chance to fully close your eyes. 1 Mississippi. When the time was up, he was long gone. There were still a lot of places to hide, so you figured he was in an old Christmas tree stuff, next to Kid Detective poster, behind the Willy Wonka statues. I'm just gonna keep guessing behind things. He must be next to all the Willy Wonka statues, you thought, and you were right. How am I so good at this? Is he always? Is this like, it's just whatever you pick is where he is? Cove was standing there looking at them. You must have missed him in the crowd at first sight, but he wasn't really hiding at all. Oh, hey. These are creepy. The statues were made of brass. Lizzie had told you once, apparently they were all the kids that had gone to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Charlie Bucket, Augustus Gloop, Veronica, Salt.
Ugh.
I was gonna hide here, but they're too weird. Let's keep playing. I need to go do it in at least one round. He put his hand over his eyes, but before you could run off again, a librarian approached the two of you. Ah, kids, I've been looking for you. Cove peeked between his fingers at the stranger. Us? You must be Cove. Your dad told me he was waiting by the entrance. Cove blinked, both mouth opening like he was going to say something, then glanced down at his pink cast. It was a pretty clear giveaway. Sure. It's my older sister with Lizzie with him. She's taller than us and has orange hair. You're Devin, right? You nodded. Phew, I found both of you at once. That's right, she's with him and the little guy with freckles. Come on, let's get you reunited so you can close up for the night. Ready to go home, you and Cove followed him up front, where the ragtag group of family members and Shiloh were all waiting.
Hey!
There you are! She was pouting. You could tell from all the way across the room, and it was only that much more obvious as you got closer. Did you win?
We came in second.
Hey, Gain. I thought you'd have been with them the whole time, Cove. I'm glad you didn't just go off by yourself, at least.
Cove glanced over at you, then back up at his dad.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, Cove. A broad smile appeared over Mr. Holden's face.
That's...
Even so, next time you should... Cove? Cove?
Cove's dad glanced around, slightly frantic, but Cove, just like always, had snuck off without thinking to say anything. He's leaving. Cove's trying to be the first one to the car.
With a sudden burst of speed, Lizzie darted for the exit, still in victor-to-be mode, even for something like a race to ride in the front seat. There was nothing else for the three of you to do except head after them, pretending the librarians hadn't noticed all the commotion. Though Lizzie had been victorious in claiming a window seat in the car, you could tell by her crossed arms and occasional pout that she still had not forgiven your betrayal. Cove hadn't been happy that she'd shot past him at the last second, and that he had to sit in the middle between you and Shiloh. Did you say you came in second place? That's some good going.
No.
No, it's not. She levied another glare at you over her shoulder.
Sure.
Sure. Striving to improve is good too. That makes Devin the winner and not your family. That's me.
What?
Devin kept finding me in our game. I lost. I could have done better if we had more time. Hide and seek with just you two? That doesn't even count as winning.
Why?
Why not? It's not special. There's no judges or prizes. You eyed the seat that she'd fought so hard to win that wasn't much of a prize either. Dad? Yes? You could see Cove's dad's eyes in the rearview mirror, suddenly attentive at his son's call. We need a prize. As a matter of fact, Mr. Holden focused intently on the road ahead of him, as though a suitable reward to please Cove might appear before him. Right. The big thing on the flyer for this was a chance to get a pizza coupon, wasn't it? How about I call up a Pacheco place and we can have pizza at home for dinner? Oh, I want pizza now. Lizzie huffed, pulling her arms closer to her chest. Is Mom even gonna let you take a pizza for Mr. Holden? We'll see. I'll ask her. I'll talk to all your moms about this.
Thanks, Cove's dad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Holden.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. You're welcome. I do what I can. But you really should have stuck with the group. The quiz should have been fun. That was the plan when I dropped you off. We stayed together and didn't leave the library. I'm glad for that. I am. There's a lot of trouble you can get into, even if you do have a buddy along for the ride. Just be careful next time. I worry about you, and I bet Devin's parents wouldn't want them to run off unexpectedly either. Okay, son? Oh my god! Mr. Holden's respecting my pronouns! I think this is the first time someone's actually called my pronouns in this game. Oh my god, yes! Cove's dad, we stan you! Thank you for being a really respectful man. The image took forever to send, so I won't send any more than the ones I did for now. One of the drawings has Cove in it. You might recognize the scene. Okay, I'm excited. I'm so excited, Little May. I can't wait to check them out. Yes, they all respect the pronouns and I live for it. It's so good. I love it. Okay. That's my boy. Now, enough gruff from your old dad. Let's decide what kind of toppings we're gonna get.
Pepperoni!
Sounds good. Anything else? And the conversation continued from there, with debates on what was best to put on pizza for the rest of the drive. Mr. Holden wanted anchovies, and the other three kids in the car had to band together to explain how gross they were. The way Cove's dad laughed up in the front seat made you wonder if he was doing it on purpose. Still, the promise of pizza was appealing, even if it did have to come with a mandatory side order of Cove. Why do we hate Cove? You were so glad there ended up being a way to salvage the day. Maybe you could come up with a way to skip the quiz again next year. Oh my god, that's so cute. Okay, only 2 left and then end of summer. I'm excited. Alright, I'm just gonna go in order. I think I'll do barbecue and then sleepover. You've been brought along to the big park today, which did an excellent job of living up to its title. The park near your house with its lonely playground equipment wasn't even a quarter of the size of the expanse of grass and trees that lay before you now. As it was in the next town over, and too far for you to walk to by yourself, you didn't get to visit it much, and so you soaked up the environment. Another difference between this park and the one in your neighborhood was that this one had visitors, other than you, Lizzie, Shiloh, and Cove. Today, it was the busiest you'd ever seen it, thanks to a community get-together, luring people in from all over the local area with the promise of barbecue and fireworks. Your family and Cove's were just 2 of many. What seemed like dozens of cars were parked up already when you had arrived. You saw Cove hesitate as he took in the growing gaggle of strangers by your mommy. Lizzie bounced on the balls of her feet, barely containing her excitement. The crowd made you nervous. You couldn't wait for the fireworks. You looked forward to meeting more kids, You'd rather have stayed home. Your tummy was already rumbling from the food to come. Even if it's bigger, this park wasn't as special as one back home. Food, obviously. Food answer. Always the food answer. It was going to be so good. Mommy had told you that people running the community event weren't charging for it, but wanted them to get something in return. Which is why I do not been allowed to touch the beautiful iced cupcakes she had carried on her lap during the drive over. It was a special treat for them. Every time the car made a turn, she clutched the box tight enough for her knuckles to strain, much to everyone else's amusement. Mr. Holden's contribution to the party, a huge pack of juice boxes, was tucked under his arm after being retrieved from the car's trunk. You bet there had been no such dramatics around that cargo getting there in one piece, but the boxes did lack the beautiful shimmer of Mommy's treasured cupcakes. Okie dokie. Everyone all set? Should be. Cove, did you put your sunscreen on before we left? Yeah, I always do. You don't have to tell me. Mr. Holden deflated. Why is Cove so mean to his dad? Cove! Oh. His attempt at caring for his son rebuffed, but he triumphed with a smile.
Good kid.
Good kid. I don't want you getting burned or dehydrated either. It will be a busy day.
Well,
Don't think there's going to be any risk of that, second part. Mom nodded at the tables up ahead, laden with all kinds of food and drink. She was right. There was plenty to go around. The parents headed over with you, Lizzie, and Cove trailing after them. A bunch of grown-ups were clustered around there, chatting, but you were more intrigued by what was on the tables. Some of it was familiar. Chilled meat, sliced vegetables, big bags of chips, but there was a lot that you didn't recognize. Your moms had said that you weren't to touch the food until they said it was time to eat. You didn't see the harm in just taking a little. You could nab something and pop it in your mouth without anyone noticing. No one would be upset. You chose to grab a baby tomato. You put the whole thing in your mouth and chewed as surreptitiously as you could manage. Cove definitely caught you. You were up too. Luckily, he seemed to think it was kind of funny and only smirked quietly. You saw that Mommy and Mr. Holden had deposited the food and drink they'd brought. Mommy gave the cupcakes one final worried look before turning to you with a smile. Since that's the topic at hand, how about we freshen up with something to drink? Yeah! That'd be great. Along with the ones out, there was a giant ice cooler on the ground, stuffed full of cans of soda, boxes of juice, and milk, as well as bottles of water. Your drink was... I used to drink a lot of juice as a kid. One time, when I was really little, I only drank orange juice. Not the healthiest moment in my life, but I was like 5. You slurped the sweet juice through the straw until all too soon you were sucking up only air. Your little group took a break while everyone quenched their thirst. Mr. Holden smacked his lips, partaking enjoyment. That hit the spot, but you kids should go have fun. You can take your stuff with you and join the other kids playing games. Just don't go too far from the tables. We'll be keeping an eye out, so don't even think about sneaking off. We're not going to the other parts of the park today. Lizzie huffed at her comments. They did sound directed at her, but she scanned the surroundings, nodding her head towards a group of kids like a general directing their battalion. She pointed the way. Come on, let's go over there. Cove's mouth was downturned as he looked from parents and the other adults to the new kids, clearly not favoring either option. But ultimately, he hunched his shoulders and tagged along after Lizzie. You went to play with the other kids too. You followed after Lizzie and Cove, who were waiting for you on the outskirts of the group of parents. Hurry up! You picked up the pace, moving into a jog, but when Lizzie belted away at full speed, you and Cove had no choice but to break out into a run. The other kids were far out in the field. Still at your speed, it wasn't long until you reached them. As you approached, they turned around to greet the newcomers. Hi, I'm Lizzie. That's my sibling, Devin. Oh, I love the respecting of the pronouns! Oh, I love it so much. It's so subtle, and that's what makes it so great, you know? This game is fantastic. I cannot hype it enough. The one with the cast is Cove. Hi. Cove simply lifted a hand in greeting. There was a chorus of hellos and names from the other kids. One of the kids looked to be about Lizzie's age or older. A couple seemed to be the same age as you and Cove, and there was one tiny little thing with his arm folded over his chest. What are you up to? And I just ordered new glasses. Yay! You are having a great day, Lexi. Hopefully they look good on me in real life. You should send a picture. I want to know what type you got. I bet they're really cute. You have good taste. Wait, okay, a new kid. Not much. I can't do kid voices. The second kid to pipe up, Lisa, had half her face obscured behind the huge glasses she wore.
We haven't decided yet.
She glanced wistfully over her shoulder. Following her gaze, you saw the spray of water first and heard the shriek as someone got splashed in the face before you spotted the person shooting them.
Some people are playing with water guns, but there aren't any left.
The smallest kid, Noah, grumbled at that. You guessed that was why he was sulking. Spencer, who hadn't said much, patted his shoulder. So that's out? A new kid raced over with a glint in her eyes and her braids streaming behind her. You spotted the plastic orange pistol in her hand too late when the trigger had already been pressed. Ack! Rude! Hey! Lizzie, who'd been caught first, was fuming. Cove wiped the water from his face. You rubbed at your ear, trying to dislodge the water that had pooled there. You laughed. It was pretty funny, and you were unhurt by the water trickling down your neck. The girl simply darted off to find more victims, unaffected by your reaction. She doesn't mean anything by it. Lizzie tutted, flickering her hair out of her face. The girl, not meaning anything by it, didn't change the fact that she'd been sprayed. Cove looked similarly unimpressed. Sent you pics on Discord. Alright, I'll have a lot to check on Discord after the stream. Lisa's face lit up as she had an idea.
Hey, why? We should catch her. She won't be able to spray people if she's running away from everybody.
Yeah! Cove nodded as the other kids murmured their interest, or lack of it, in the game. Yeah, let's do it, whatever. You joined the group of kids in tearing off after the girl with the pistol. Spotting you all over her shoulder, she laughed and shot her pistol in the air. Only a couple of drops squeezed out. She swerved, causing discord within your team as someone stood on her foot and you collided with Cole's shoulder. Sorry! He frowned but didn't say anything as he kept an eye on his target. You were closing in on the girl, but you weren't alone. Lizzie's face was set with intent and the two older kids were hot on her heels too. Where to put in effort? You pushed yourself, willing your legs. I like that you get to like choose your physical attributions and stuff too. Like you can be non-athletic, you can try really hard. Like this is so cool. It's all the really subtle things in this game that make it so good. You were close, and then you tackled her to the ground. You did it! The girl who had been caught giggled as she got to her feet, brushing strands of grass from her knees. Smiling, Cove came to stop at your side. Lizzie whooped with delight, clapping her hands. The boy with the bright sneakers grinned. You're it now. Catch us if you can.
Yeah!
I'll do it too. You don't get away from me. With that, all dispersed, squealing and laughing as you tried to evade capture. The sour mood from earlier had evaporated entirely, replaced by a light and playful atmosphere. Several rounds later, when most of the kids had taken at least one turn, the scent of smoke wafted up to your nose. Caught by surprise, you looked up and found that the brilliant blue of the sky had turned orange as the sun sunk down on the horizon. With all the excitement, you lost track of time completely. Looking over you saw people standing over the grills and poking them to life. It was nearly time to eat. We should get over there. I'm so hungry. Our parents are at different spots. Yeah. Bye. It was cool playing. Yep. Bye. Bye. You waved goodbye with other groups of kids before hurrying over to your parents with Lizzie and Cove. Yeah, I'll be back. All right, Lily May, have a great meal. I hope you're eating something absolutely delicious. I think we'll only be going for about 30 more minutes. I think that's probably how long it will take to finish the 3 things we have left. As you came closer to the source of smoke, as the 3 of you approached the tables, your parents spotted you and came to join you halfway. You tried to greet them, but another cough obstructed your words. Oof, that's quite a cough. Oh, are you all right, sweetie? You nodded confidently. Are you sure? No one needs to go up to the grills if they don't want to. Just let me know what you need. There was no response from the other 2 kids here.
I can get it myself, Mommy.
Alright, but let me know if it gets too much for you.
So,
The main thing being served is kebabs. You can have whatever you like on it. There's different meats and veggies. As you approached, you found a vast array of bits and pieces, ready to be skewered and served up. You choose. Oh my god, I'm getting hungry. Right, obviously potatoes, peppers, onions, beef. And that's everything. Sounds good to me. The veggies will be good for you. Order given, you waited for your food to be ready. Lizzie headed towards you, having issued her own request.
Hi again. I heard what you ordered. I'm getting a chicken kebab with all 3 colors of peppers.
Noticing that Cove approached, she turned to him.
What are you having?
why?
Why does it matter?
I don't know. I was just asking.
I'm getting beef and shrimp with all vegetables except onions. Lizzie hummed while evaluating his response.
That's okay, I guess. But chicken is definitely the better one.
Then you can eat all the chicken.
I'm going to.
I want some chicken too. All the chicken in the world. Chicken is worth. That is a stupid argument. Chicken is the best choice. Let's deflect. All the chicken
No.
in the world. No, that's dumb. You know what I mean. Lizzie peered over the grills where the kebabs were being handed out. A growing assortment of kebabs collected in your parents' hands. I hope Lizzie chills as she gets older.
They're coming over. Don't get jealous of mine when you realize you made the wrong choice, Cove.
I didn't make the wrong choice.
There isn't a wrong choice. It's just what kebabs somebody eats.
The person serving gave your mommy one final kebab, then your parents moved over to rejoin you. Between them, they were carrying 6 kebabs, one for each of you, including Cove and Mr. Holden. We've got the goods! Cove, Daddy is looking for a place that we can sit. In the meantime, whoa, Cove's daddy's like, I just thought brain malfunction. In the meantime, they began passing out kebabs to their rightful owners. Lizzie smiled smugly as she received hers. These are pretty big. Be careful. These are pretty big. Be careful not to drop it. Try not to poke yourselves with the ends either. They're sharper than you might think. Hearing that, you tentatively pushed the tip of the skewer against your finger. It felt like the point of a newly sharpened pencil. Though it didn't hurt your hand, you wouldn't want it scraping the roof of your mouth or jabbing your tongue. Mommy clutched her tongue. It would have been nice if they were a little easier to manage and less messy to eat, especially for smaller kids. There aren't even plates for everyone, so we could set the food down for a second. That's what you get for the price of free, but we can hack it, right? Lizzie nodded her head vigorously, clutching her kebab like a trophy. Your parents led you back to the tables. It was immediately evident why Mr. Holden had been sent to scout one out. The benches had quickly filled up as people got their food. Mr. Holden was standing over a corner section near the edges of the sitting area. He beckoned your group over to join him. You clambered onto the bench, taking care not to let your kebab slip from your fingers. Further along the table, Cove perched next to his dad, while Lizzie took the space next to you. Your mom passed the final unclaimed kebab to Mr. Holden.
Thank you.
Thanks, this looks delicious. Thank you for getting us a space out here. Everyone tucked into their food, gobbled it up eagerly, only partially obscured by the awkwardness of eating from a skewer. Running around with the other kids had helped you to work up an appetite. Mr. Holden, what do you do? Well, I do a lot of things. Do you play golf? Only if you count mini golf. One look at Lizzie's stricken face confirmed that she did not. She could enjoy the occasional round at a mini golf place, especially if she had an audience to impress, but your sister took her passion very seriously. Even then, it's been years since I gave it a shot. Cove groaned at the feeble pun. Mom chuckled. You weren't sure if she was responding to the joke, Cove's annoyance, or Lizzie's offense.
Don't worry about it.
Just as well, she's be dragging you to the green every week.
That's because I've got dedication. You need a good drive or two to get far.
Mr. Holden nodded, clicking his tongue in appreciation. Cove looked from his father to your sister, lost in the conversation. Outclassed in golf and wit.
I don't get it. A drive is a type of golf shoot. You should really try golf. Maybe I'll even teach you some tricks.
Don't try to change my dad to be more like you. Cove is brutal. Just one kebab? What is horror is this? I know, really. You only get to eat one. That's all you get at this free picnic.
Oh, nice.
That's really sweet of you, but I'm sure Mr. Holden is busy. He might not have time for another hobby. Yeah, I don't think I'm made for that. Still, the offer is appreciated.
Why?
Then tell me something you really do already. You just go away every day. I like scuba diving, though with the business, that's more work than play these days. Surfing and reading, snorkeling. Those are things Cove likes. Mr. Holden exaggeratedly puffed out his chest. What can I say? My boy's got good taste. He takes after his dad in that way. The sun had been setting when you got your food, and by the time you'd finished, night had truly fallen. Your sticky fingers were the only remaining evidence of your meal. The kebab had been a great combination, more than the sum of its parts. The seasoning of freedom to choose every ingredient yourself was made it something to remember. Rising from the table, Mommy held up her water bottle. All right. Okay, now that food is gone, you got to wash your hands.
Okay.
Devin, Lizzie, please hold them out. Lizzie complied, coming over and cupping her hands together in front of her. Mommy splashed some water on her fingers, and Lizzie rubbed them together, working off any residue. Here. Mom passed her a paper towel from the purse, and Lizzie used it to dry off her hands. Your turn, Devin. As a kid, I hate sticky things on my finger. It's like a texture thing, so I would have immediately been like, wash my hands, please. Taking care to clean your crevice between your fingers before wiping them dry. Nearby, Cove had taken his own course of action, wiping his hands on his pants, leaving a stain where his fingers had been. Mr. Holden shook his head.
Come on.
Let's clean that off, pal. He scribed at the fabric with a scrunched up napkin. Dad, it's not that bad. When everyone was cleaned up, or as clean as they could be with the limited facilities, Mom spoke up.
Let's go.
Let's go make one last check at the coolers and restock on drinks before the fireworks show. No time! We have to get a good spot. Everyone's gonna be taken. How about I go ahead and save space again? You can meet me up with me in the field after getting the drinks. Then I'm going with Cove's dad. I'll find the perfect place.
Okay.
Sure thing. I could use an extra pair of eyes. Mommy shook her head ruefully at Lizzie's Lily, even more enthusiastically than usual attitude. Oh my gosh, we might have to skip the sleepover because my brain is starting to not be able to read. All right, me, Cliff, and Lizzie can find a place to sit. Pam, Cove, and Devin, do you want to go get the drinks? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. As Mommy, Lizzie, and Mr. Holden headed off into the wide open field where the fireworks were being set up, you joined Cove and Mom in returning to the cooler, where you pick up your drinks earlier. Even as you approached, you suspected you wouldn't find much in it. Where it had originally been stocked to the brim, it was now half empty. The ice, which had cushioned the drinks and kept them cool, was largely melted with only a handful of pieces floating like tiny icebergs. Slim pickings! The drinks that remained looked to be bottles of plain water, but you caught a glimpse of something more colorful in amongst them. Mom rummaged around in the cooler, excavating a couple of juice boxes from the bottom in the process. Aha! Devin, Cove, you can take one of those if you want. The perks of helping. You took a juice box for yourself. You only took, let's share. We'll share with Lizzie. Cove hesitated but decided to take a juice box for himself. When you were each loaded up with your chosen drink, plus an extra bottle of True, for someone else in the group, Mom's phone started to ring. She juggled the water bottles over into the crook of her arm and looked at the caller. It's Mommy. Hold tight while I get this.
How are you?
Hey, hon. How's it going? Did you find our perfect spot already? She nodded along to the call, punctuated by uh-huhs. As Mommy gave her directions, catching your eye, she gestured towards the grassy area. We've got a place. Come on it. We'd better hurry before the show starts. You and Cove jogged after your mom, who led you through the field and the separate groups of people assembled there, back to the rest of your families.
Hello.
Hello, we're here, and we bring drinks. Bearing drinks. Though there wasn't much left. The three of you handed over the spare drinks. You held up the extra juice box. I brought this for someone.
How sweet.
You're so thoughtful, Devin. Despite Mommy replaying pretty expectantly, there was just one person who made a claim to the sweet drink. Can I have it? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. I love you, Devin. Aww. You two are a real pair. That's so cute. Oh my god. Alright, you've redeemed yourself, Lizzie. I forgive you. Once everyone had been equipped with a beverage for the big event, you sat on the grass near your family and waited for the magic to begin. Most people in the park had taken a seat now, with a few stragglers silhouetted back at the tables in the distance. A few rambunctious kids were still dashing about, but their number was steadily decreasing as their parents called them over and restored order. Someone bearing a cupboard box waved between the groups, pausing ever so often. You nudged Lizzie and pointed. What are they doing? It looks like they're hitting something out. I can't make out what it is.
What a pickle.
I hope it's not drinks. Mommy chuckled, but Lizzie and Cove were now watching the bestower of mystery goods cleanly. Are they gonna come to us too? Mom softly put her hands on her sister's shoulders, as if she feared Lizzie might bolt over to the stranger. Lizzie didn't even glance at her, eyes locked on the potential prize. I don't know.
In that case.
Well, we'll have to see. Wait and see. You were intrigued. Studying the man with the box closely as he gradually meandered nearer, you could make out that he was handing out small items to most of the groups he stopped at. They seemed too short to be water bottles, but beyond that it remained a mystery. Then, the box man made his way to your group. Evening, I'm handing out dessert. Any takers?
There's dessert!
Lizzie squealed, hopping up off the ground. The man chuckled. Oh my god, Hoodsy Cups! I'm gonna take that as a yes. I've ice cream on the menu, vanilla flavored with a twist, or either chocolate or strawberry syrup.
Nice.
Nice. None for me though, thanks. Same, but the offer is appreciated.
I want chocolate.
Can I have strawberry? And a strawberry for me too, please. Now you are going to have to make a decision. Chocolate or strawberry? I'm gonna get chocolate. Reaching into the box, the man brought out the requested ice cream and tossed them out. It came packaged in a little plastic cup, complete with a wooden spoon stuck to the paper lid. Now I really want a frickin' Hoodsy Cup. The condensation wet your fingers in a pleasant way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kids, are you going to thank the nice man too? There was a chorus of thank yous. He cordially nodded and walked off to another group. The man couldn't spend much time with each group, considering how many he had to get to. You peeled back the tab that covered the ice cream and got right into your expected treat. It tasted amazing. Lizzie was definitely enjoying hers. Cove was too. Lizzie munched away happily, but it ultimately didn't succeed in monopolizing her attention. Eyes wide, she looked at her mommy and pulled on her pants.
Please.
I didn't get strawberry. Can I have some of yours, please?
Of course.
Of course, sweetie. Lizzie cooed with excitement as Mommy presented her with a dollop of ice cream and syrup mixture. Licking her lips, Lizzie lapped it up. Mommy, come on now. Lizzie has all the ice cream she needs. She simply laughed and pinched Lizzie's cheek, then dug her spoon in again and held it out to you. I just can't resist. Devin, would you like some of mine? They got a full cup of ice cream to eat already. But that's not the same as getting a little extra from your mommy. That's so cute. You accepted the bite. You ate the treat being offered, much to Mom's chagrin and Mommy's delight. Cove watched the exchange silently with a blank expression. Mom, on the other hand, shook her head, a fond smile on her face. Well, you better at least give me some too. You could have gotten your own if you wanted ice cream.
What?
What? The kids have ice cream already and they're getting some of yours to boot and I have nothing? Now is when you decide to be firm. Laughing, Mommy fed some ice cream to your sulking mom. She could never actually follow through with being tough. There. All are better now. Your moms are so cute. Oh my god. They're so precious. Yes. Good. How about you, Cliff? Would you like some? No, I'm still okay, but thanks for keeping me in mind. Cove, it's only fair that you get the choice too. Cove shook his head firmly, concentrating on his own cup. Mommy smiled. Okay, as long as no one is feeling left out. Mommy was always so nice to everyone. Then, the first firework cut through the sky, whistling as it ascended until it hit its crescendo with an explosion. The park flashed as if alight. Squealing, Lizzie leapt to her feet, forgot an ice cream tumbling to the ground as the fireworks crackled into tiny drops of glitter in the sky. It's starting! Everyone else looked up to the sky as another firework whizzed through the air. With each explosion, Lizzie would jump up into the air. The event was thrilling. It was impossible to tear your eyes from the scene. The loud noises hurt your ears. You covered them with your hands. It was kind of neat. You're back, hugging your knees to your chest.
I'm gonna tear your eyes away. Cove sat by his dad, captivated by the sky sparkles and flashes overhead. Mr. Holden watched the fireworks scene impassively. He did smile at you, and even gave a thumbs up when he noticed you looking over. Mommy hopped to her feet, pulling Mom with her, pushing her into joining Lizzie and jumping up in tandem with every crack of a firework. Mommy then bent down to offer you a hand up, too. You decided to quietly watch from the ground. You got up to join your family. Beckoning for Cove to join. Ooh, let's force Cove into this. Cove ignored your invite. Oh, okay. Choosing to stay outside your circle. I respect your not wanting to join, Cove. You brushed off his rebuff of easily washed away by your mom's face just lit up, literally and metaphorically, as you approached. The four of you shrieked and leapt along with the sparkles in the sky, not trying to contain your joy at experiencing the sights together. The fireworks continued, some twisting like the coil of a spring as they arched into the air, others shooting straight in from the ground and shattering into a million tiny specks. Every color got its spotlight in the show, from fiery reds to eerie greens and the blues that could rival the ocean. You eventually noticed that at some point Mr. Holden had let Cove perch atop his shoulders, or more likely, Cove had to be persuaded to give it a try. Still, Cove's face was covered with a wide smile that matched his father's own. You imagined the view from way up there was pretty impressive. It was also nice that they were getting along for once. The show built up to a grand finale that boomed over the park and filled every inch of the sky, the twinkling lights representing the full spectrum of the rainbow. As the final glittering embers dissolved into the night, you released a deep breath. The after image was still burned on your retinas, sleeping up behind your eyelids with every blink. Within a minute, the image had been lost, but it was burned deeper still in your mind. You've been so focused on the show that your foot had gone numb beneath you, and it was only when you attempted to stand that you felt the tingling sensation of blood rushing back to your toes. Cove on the other ground again, your eyes locked momentarily. Then you turned back to your family. The news that Cove and his dad would be coming with you to once-a-year event hadn't been great. You could admit now that it hadn't been as bad as you'd feared, but it would take far more than not actively ruining one event for you to consider Cove a friend. Oh, yeah, I forgot that I chose that we weren't friends, because I was planning to do a slow burn romance. I'm already in love with Cove, so, like, it's weird. Not really, I mean, I just like him as, like, a character. So I feel bad that I chose that we weren't friends. Oh well, slow burn, guys. We're doing slow burn. You took in your giddy family, their spirits buoyed by the firework display, and smiled. This had been a pretty special night. Alright, so we have the sleepover and then end of summer, and if I recall, end of summer is pretty long of a read. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to call it here. I think it will be more interesting once we're teens, because I think you get to flirt a lot more when you're a teenager. So I am excited for that, to see what happens. And
Hey there, demons. It's me. Yo boy.
Hey Raven, you're just in time for the raid. We're going to go find someone to raid. If you haven't already been here, but... It went really well. I had a lot of fun. We had a lot of great community today. And, you know, our moms were great. We had respecting of pronouns. I love this game so much. So I'm really glad I'm getting to experience it all with you guys. I'm just going to go through my little spiel before we start the raid. And you like to play games, if you like Among Us, Phasmophobia, if you like doing Stardew Valley, we're doing a co-op. You should join our Discord. It's a great community. We have a lot of fun together, very supportive. You can follow me on socials for updates on stream schedule. Discord also has good stuff for stream scheduling. And donations always welcome, never obligated. Always appreciate you guys just spending time with me. You're amazing. And yeah, let's go raid Chaotic Katie. I hope you guys have a lovely raid. Thank you for being here with me tonight. You are all lovely humans, and I appreciate everyone for coming in. Bye, y'all!